Well, I bet you can guess where I am. We are live at the World Dairy Expo at the Alliant Energy Center. Coming up, we're going to talk to a Wisconsin farmer on what this event means for them.
And as Madison's mayor gets ready to release her city budget proposal today, we'll tell you why former police chief Mike Koval says it played a major role in his decision to retire.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now This Morning.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your morning on this Tuesday, October 1st. I'm Josh Spreiter.
And I'm Leah Lynchide, struggling a little bit to believe that it's October 1st today. Miss Hattie McLean, what?
It was beautiful yesterday, wasn't it? We had a great sunset as well. Temperatures in the 80s yesterday, but things are changing today. Flash flood watches are in effect for the entire area. They start this morning at 7 o'clock and go through Wednesday morning. Here's a look at the radar map. We have had some lightning and thunder showing up mainly north of Madison. There's a chance that from Dane County and points to the south that you'll stay dry through the morning hours, but eventually this rain is going to sink to the south today and become likely late this afternoon into tonight for all of southern Wisconsin. So grab the rain gear before you head out the door. Even if it's not raining where you are, pretty good bet that it will be raining on your way home later today. Temperatures are still in the 70s this morning. Unheard of for this time of the year to have morning lows in the 70s. We'll climb just a few degrees today, back to highs in the mid-70s. Light west-southwesterly winds expected, but quite a bit of rain on the way as well. Let's get a look at your traffic maps this morning. We've been talking about an accident on I-39 right at I-43 all morning. That accident has cleared, but there are still some delays as the cars work to get through that area. Here in Madison, though, no major delays, just a few brake lights showing up on the Beltline near Stoughton Road. And that's your first alert traffic.
So I know we talked about it yesterday, but I did get one final pool day in yesterday.
Did.
I figured I had to. It's probably our last day of 80s, maybe though the last pool day in general too.
It really was a great pool day. It was tropical yesterday.
Where was our invite?
It felt like July. I'm sorry.
Son of a gun.
You were probably
Next
too busy
year.
anyways.
That's true. That's true. I'm always doing something.
You are. All right, Hattie, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, we are following breaking news just into the Channel 3000 Alert Center within the last few minutes. The situation in Hong Kong is continuing to escalate this morning after a pro-democracy protester was shot by a police officer. Police say the protester was shot in the chest. No word on their condition this morning. We will, of course, continue to monitor that story as details develop right here on News 3 Now. All right, to our other top story this morning. Thousands of people are right here in Madison for the World Dairy Expo kicking off today.
Yeah, Keely Arthur is waking up with the cows this morning and joins us now live with more. Good morning, Keely.
Oh, I see what you did there, Josh. Good morning, Josh and Leah. Yeah, 100 countries are represented here at the World Dairy Expo, but there are so many local farmers here as well. I have one of them with me, Jeannie Winkleman from Twinkle Hill Farms out of Watertown. Good morning, Jeannie. And you said that you have been at the World Dairy Expo since you were knee-high to a pig's eye.
As soon as I could ride in the stroller with my mom and dad a couple years ago now. Yes, we've been attending World Dairy Expo, and my family has been exhibiting animals here for over 20 years.
What makes you come back year after year?
Well, World Dairy Expo is a really great week for us because we get to show off our finest animals that our family has raised from babies on up. We get to see friends from all over the world, all over the U.S. that we only see once a year, and it's a great week of camaraderie and friendly competition.
All right, and I know we have some video up right now, but I want viewers to get a look at what is behind us. Can you kind of explain, Jeannie, the cows we are seeing?
Sure. The brown Swiss cows directly behind me are from my family's dairy farm in Watertown. We have 150 dairy cows at my family's farm, and my dad has been a sole dairy farmer since he's been 16 years old. So over 40 years he's been a dairy farmer.
Dairy industry is tough. Farming is really tough. How do you survive?
It really comes down to doing the best that you can with your farm and your cows that you can. You have to be a smart businessman. You have to work for a little bit of luck from God with weather, which has been a challenge really this year with the rain. And you have to have great people on your team between your family and your employees and your management team to help you out.
All right. Thank you so much, Jeannie. We appreciate you doing an interview with us, and you can come say hello to Jeannie and hundreds of other farmers and cows at the World Dairy Expo. It's going on from today through October 5th, and it is open to the public. I'll send it back to you, too.
Best assignment ever. I have to say I'm a little jealous of Keely.
Just a little bit.
Just a little. Keely Arthur, thank you very much.
I know you're jealous.
We'll see you a little later.
All right, time right now is 6:05, and we're learning more this morning about why former Madison Police Chief Mike Koval decided to retire. He says he's frustrated and just tired of the politics. Koval says despite his efforts, he hasn't been able to get the increase in staffing he says the department needs. He requested 10 more officers a year since 2015, but has never gotten it. He says he ran out of ways to convince the mayor and alders to pay attention to the needs of that department.
And frankly, we're getting ready to go through another budgetary process where I am completely frustrated in terms of what I believe are important priorities for this department that probably won't be met, and I get it. But that doesn't mean I have to like it, that doesn't mean I have to agree with it, and it certainly doesn't mean I have to sit through it.
Koval announced the decision to retire on his blog on Sunday. He says he hopes the person chosen as the next chief will be independent and not let themselves be, quote, lapdogs for politicians. Until that new chief is announced, Assistant Chief Vic Wall is serving as the interim. The Police and Fire Commission should have a new chief chosen by its next meeting on October 14th.
Happening today, we will be hearing from Madison Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway as she announces her first operating budget for the city. She'll be holding a press conference at 1 this afternoon to go over her priorities for the next year. Last year, former Mayor Paul Soglin produced a $332 million operating budget that raised taxes by about $72 for the average homeowner.
Dane County Executive Joe Parisi will also be announcing his full 2020 budget proposal today. This year, the county is investing an additional $865,000 in mental health and addiction recovery services. $80,000 of that will go towards Safe Communities Recovery Coach program, where former addicts are trained to help those currently struggling with addiction. Currently, those coaches connect with people or places like jail or hospital rooms after overdoses. The project expansion will embed coaches in community centers like the Urban League and the Outreach LGBTQ Community Center.
Community centers are a great place to make those connections and help young people and their families really address some of the core issues that may be holding them back and that may be causing their lives to be more challenging.
Today at noon, County Executive Parisi will introduce the full county budget, which will include new offices to help with immigration, housing affordability, and homelessness.
Making national headlines this morning, two of President Trump's closest advisors are now facing subpoenas in the House impeachment inquiry. A senior State Department official says Secretary of State Mike Pompeo listened in on the president's phone call with Ukraine's leader. Also involved is the president's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, who has said multiple times that he has tried to get officials in Ukraine to investigate former Vice President Joe Biden.
More local news now. The former NICU nurse accused of abusing infants at Meriter Hospital last year is waiting to be sentenced. This after pleading guilty to all 19 counts of child abuse Monday. Court records show 44-year-old Christopher Catham abused 9 babies between March of 2017 and February 2018. The total charges could mean up to 148 years in prison. Bond was revoked and the sentencing date hasn't been set yet.
We are hoping for more answers today out of Columbia County in the death of a man who was shot while checking his basement for a potential intruder. Sheriff Roger Brandner says there are no suspects in custody and he doesn't know if there's a danger to the public right now. Wolf's family says they believe he died protecting his family. His brother, Jesse, says he has always been incredibly proud of his little brother.
I was pretty fortunate to have a brother as good as he was. I mean, I couldn't ask for anything better. Everything he did and all the pictures that I would see, it'd bring a tear to my eye because I was so proud.
Wolf's family says they are turning to each other to stay strong right now because that's what Wolf would have wanted.
A woman is now in custody this morning, tentatively charged with first-degree attempted homicide after a weekend shooting in Fitchburg. Police say 22-year-old Shaquita Lee critically injured a 21-year-old woman and also shot another 49-year-old woman in a series of gunshots Sunday. It happened on High Ridge Trail just off of Fish Hatchery Road. Lee was also shot in that ordeal. Police say they think the shooting was a result of an ongoing family dispute. Fitchburg Police Chief Chad Brecklin says he doesn't think this is connected to Shay Watson's unsolved murder case, but says handling 2 incidents related to gun violence at one time is putting a strain on resources.
When situations like this happen, particularly in close proximity to one another, it does definitely put a tax on our resources, so to speak. And it's great to have partners in this county that are willing to help provide resources in time of need.
Chief Brecklin says he's not looking for any additional suspects right now, but says more arrests could be made.
Arrest warrants are out this morning for 2 men still at large connected to the shooting death of a 19-year-old on the north side. You're taking a look at 33-year-old Arthur Lee Taylor and 37-year-old Lawrence Thomas. They're facing first-degree intentional homicide charges in the death of Malik Moss. Investigators think that shooting stemmed between a fight from the men last Saturday night. Detectives learned multiple men with guns were in that area at the time.
Even though this was an intended target, this victim, and again, our hearts are out to his family and his friends, but there were a lot of other people who could have been shot who were not involved in this dispute at all. We can see clearly on the surveillance video a couple of children who were in that area just seconds before the gunfire.
Police say extremely good surveillance footage is helping their case. If you see Taylor or Thomas, police ask that you do not approach them and instead call 911 immediately.
Around the state this morning, the mom of 2 boys who were busted in a multi-million-dollar vaping operation in Kenosha County is now involved. Courtney Huffines was arrested for maintaining a drug trafficking place and was taken to the county jail. Her sons, Tyler and Jacob, were charged after maintaining the vaping operation. Police took more than 31,000 vape cartridges with about 1 gram of THC in each, in addition to nearly 57 mason jars filled with refined liquid THC, 3 money counting machines, and dozens of other pieces of paraphernalia.
Meanwhile, the number of deaths linked to vaping nationwide is up to 14 this morning after Nebraska announced the state's first death from severe lung disease. The specific cause of that outbreak is still unknown, but health officials are zeroing in on potential clues. CDC says most patients have reported a history of using e-cigarette products that have THC, but some have only used nicotine products. The agency counts more than 800 cases of illnesses associated with the use of e-cigarettes in 46 different states.
Your time right now is 6:12, and still ahead for us, registration fees for car owners are going up today across Wisconsin. We'll tell you what kind of impact your wallet will see.
And we're taking a live look now at I-39, back open in just the last few minutes after crews just finished clearing a crash there. We'll monitor the rest of your morning commute when News 3 Now This Morning returns.
This
Good morning from the patio. It's definitely muggy outside this morning. I don't need the umbrella right now, but it is close by. Trust me, you want to keep that umbrella close to you today because rain becomes likely as you head into the afternoon and evening. 2 alert days are in the forecast today and tomorrow due to the potential for some heavy rain and flooding concerns across southern Wisconsin. Now, the time frame that we'll be focusing on for the heaviest rain is likely to be tonight into early on Wednesday morning. So keep that in mind. If you live in a flood-prone area, you'll want to make preparations just in case you start to see that flooding by your house. Here's a look at the flash flood watches that are in effect for all of southern Wisconsin starting this morning through Wednesday morning. Potential rain across the region is going to be pretty high for central and southern Wisconsin. Those red shaded colors indicating about 3 or more inches of rain. We could see higher amounts under some of those heavier thunderstorms. So be prepared for rain in inches rather than just a little bit of rain. It is going to be pretty heavy at times. Now, the severe weather threat is relatively low for most of the area, but there is an increasing chance for severe weather in far southwestern Wisconsin. The main threats will be large hail and damaging winds. For the entire area, though, the threat is heavy rain. And we're already starting to see some of those showers and thunderstorms move into central Wisconsin. Areas north of Madison have likely seen some rain already, as well as heard some thunder. There is a chance that as we go through the morning hours, points south of Madison may stay dry before this axis of heavy rain actually shifts into the area. So here's a look at the probability of precipitation. Again, it ramps up by mid-morning into the afternoon hours. So even if it's dry on your way to work or school this morning, pretty good bet that you'll be using those windshield wipers on the way home. Now, if it feels tropical outside, there is a good reason for it. We have Tropical Storm Narda in Mexico and a steady stream of moisture from that storm all the way into the Great Lakes region, from New Mexico all the way into Wisconsin and Michigan this morning. And there is plenty of moisture to work with, so no shortage of moisture for these storms today. Dew points will hover right around 70 degrees, so even though it's not going to be as warm as it was yesterday, it's going to be just as humid. Temperatures this morning are still in the 70s. We have dew points in the 70s as well. Future track forecast model showing you the best chances for rain this morning will be north of Dane County. Heading into the afternoon hours, though, that's when we see those showers and thunderstorms start to shift a little bit further to the south. And overnight, rain is likely for the entire area. It may be heavy at times. There'll be a little bit of a break towards the midday hours on Wednesday, but then rain chances are back in the forecast Wednesday night into Thursday morning. We'll get about 24 hours of dry weather on Friday. It'll definitely feel like fall with highs in the mid-50s. There is a chance then for rain late Saturday into Sunday. Now let's get a look at those traffic maps this morning. We'll send it over to Jason Stone for all the details. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning. Routine lining up at the Stoughton and Verona interchanges as all lanes are moving at the posted speed limit on the Beltline with no issues. Brake lights up and down Verona Road from the Beltline to Highway PD, mainly at the intersections. Otherwise, all routes into Madison and around Dane County are mostly clear at this time. Vehicles are making their way downtown without delay and are able to navigate the Isthmus and campus with no trouble. With your First Alert traffic, I'm Jason Stone.
Thank you very much, Jason, and thank you, Hattie. So with heavy rain expected over the next few days, Sauk County is preparing for possible flash flooding. The county's emergency management department is offering free sand and bags for its residents. You can find them in West Baraboo along Highway 136 across from the Festival Foods.
As harvest season begins to ramp up now that we've entered October, be extra careful on the roadways. The Wisconsin Farm Bureau, along with the Wisconsin Department of Transportation, are encouraging farmers and motorists to work together to keep roadways safe this fall. According to state statistics, over the last decade, 32 people have been killed and 874 injured in crashes involving agricultural equipment.
A heads up to all drivers, as part of the state's biennial budget, Wisconsin vehicle title and registration fees are increasing today. Title fees are going up by nearly $100, from $69.50 to $164.50. The annual registration is going up by $10, from $75 to $85. And an annual surcharge of $75 will also be applied to hybrid vehicles.
But if you want, you could skip those fees altogether, because it turns out Madison is a good place to be without a car. A new survey by CityLab puts Madison as the second best mid-sized city to live without one, ranked right behind Honolulu. The researchers looked at the number of people without cars and those using public transit, bikes, and people who carpool. For large metro areas, San Francisco came in first.
Not a bad idea to bike. I know both you and I bike.
Yes, just maybe not today with it raining.
And not at 2 in the morning.
Some people have to, though.
That's true. Not a bad option. All right, still ahead, the fate of the Brew Crew comes down to tonight. We're previewing their face-off against the Nationals as they try to keep their postseason run alive in a do or die game. That is next.
But first, heavy rain coming up today in your Alert Day forecast. Another dreary one out there, but very humid. Hattie's got your bus stop forecast when News 3 Now this morning continues. .24 on your Tuesday morning. Dry so far, but make sure you grab that umbrella because it's really going to come down later.
It really is. Some heavy rain, some thunderstorms are expected. No issues right now, though, here in Madison. We don't have any fog or anything like that, so not a bad start to the day. It is pretty muggy outside. Be aware of that. Flash flood watches are in effect for the entire area. They start this morning and go through Wednesday morning. We're talking several inches of rain coming our way. Now, speaking of rain, there is some showing up on the radar map, mainly north of Dane County this morning. Some rumbles of thunder near the Dells right now with some thunderstorms there. South of Madison, things have remained dry during the overnight hours and early this morning. Now, eventually this rain is going to shift southward, but this is a rather slow moving system, so it'll take some time today. So your rain chances here in Madison and Point South really start to ramp up for the second part of the day today. So if it's dry as you head to work and school, pretty likely that it's going to be wet on the way home. So keep that in mind as you head to the bus stop this morning. Temperatures are mild, 71 this morning as the bus drops you off at school. Likely going to be an inside play day today with some rain expected for the afternoon, even some thunder possible as the bus drops you off back at home. Temperatures will top in the middle 70s. Have a wonderful Tuesday.
All right, Addie, we will. Thank you very much. As we turn the calendar over to October this morning, we're now in the last few days of our Coats for Kids drive. You've already helped donate more than 2,500 items so far. That is a big number, but we're still behind last year's pace. That's why we're asking you to take one last look in your closet and donate any coats, hats, gloves, snow pants, or anything else through this Saturday. We're looking for winter gear of all sizes, but especially items for infants, toddlers, and young kids. As a reminder, you can drop them off at any Area Clinky Cleaners location. It is a win or go home kind of night for the Brewers in Washington, D.C.
Oh, yeah, they face off against the Washington Nationals in this year's wild card game. In order to move on, they will have to beat one of the best pitchers in baseball, Max Scherzer, who had one of the best strikeout rates in baseball this year. The Brewers will counter with Brandon Woodruff, who may only throw a few innings before turning the game over to the bullpen. First pitch is set for just after 7 tonight on TBS. I might stay up a little late to catch that.
I probably won't.
Fingers crossed for him. All right, still ahead on News 3 Now this morning. We have the top 3 things you need to know on your Tuesday as you head out the door.
And Keely Arthur is bringing us an inside look at the World Dairy Expo this morning. She'll join us again when News 3 Now this morning returns.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for staying with us on this Tuesday, October 1st. I'm Josh Spreiter.
And I'm Leah Lynchad. We will check in with Hattie's forecast coming up in just a minute. But first, the top 3 things you should know on your Tuesday. President Trump's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, says he will, quote, give appropriate consideration to a subpoena from House Democrats who are demanding documents from his trip to Ukraine. Giuliani has said publicly multiple times that he tried to get officials in Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden. CBS News has confirmed Secretary of State Mike Pompeo listened in on the president's call to Ukraine's leader, which is now at the center of that impeachment inquiry.
North Korea says nuclear negotiations with the U.S. will resume Saturday. A senior North Korean diplomat says the two nations agreed to meet after a months-long stalemate over the withdrawal of sanctions in exchange for disarmament. No word on where that meeting will take place.
And the third story we're following this morning, your holiday flight plans could be affected by the latest Boeing setback. Pilot union leaders at Southwest Airlines say they don't expect to fly the troubled Boeing 737 MAX jets until at least February, which is a bit later than the company had first projected. Union leaders say issues like pilot training requirements are among the factors keeping those planes grounded.
Those are your top 3 things you need to know this morning, and Hattie's here now with a very rainy forecast. No rain yet, but it's coming.
Not yet, Josh and Leah, but you're right. We do have rain in the forecast. Still an alert day today and tomorrow due to the potential for some very heavy rain across southern Wisconsin. The ground is saturated, so a lot of this moisture is going to run off today. Also, with the leaves falling, some of the drains may be plugged, so there may be issues with urban flooding that develop later on as well. A flash flood watch is in effect for all of southern Wisconsin starting this morning through Wednesday morning. Here's a look at the most current picture on the radar map this morning. The last 3 hours or so, you can see some isolated thunderstorms north of Madison. They're moving rather quickly, but this rain is going to sink southward through the day as a cold front begins to work its way into the area. So while it's dry right now in Madison, it is going to be wet this afternoon. As you head out the door, don't forget the umbrella today. You'll need it later on. Temperatures will climb just a few degrees. We're right around 70 right now. We'll be in the mid-70s later on this afternoon. Let's get a look at those first alert traffic maps now this morning, showing you no major issues on the Beltline or any of the routes into Madison right now. Looks like you're still going near posted speeds as you head into the capital city. And that's your first alert traffic.
Thank you very much, Hattie. 6:32 on your Tuesday. Thousands of folks are flocking to the 53rd Annual World Dairy Expo starting this morning at the Alliant Energy Center.
Our Keely Arthur is one of them, checking out the sights, sounds, and smells this morning. Hi, Keely.
Well, I'm outside now, so a little less smelly, which is always a good thing. And of course, when we think of the Dairy Expo, we think of the cows, but nearly every facet of the dairy industry is represented here today. And I have here with me one of those people, Doug Williams. He's with Kuhn North America. Good morning, Doug. Explain to me a little bit about what Kuhn North America is very quickly.
Kuhn North America, agricultural manufacturer. We're worldwide, so World Dairy Expo really fits in with it well. We look forward to all of our world visitors or international visitors showing up and seeing the equipment.
And you are from a farming family. Your family still owns a farm over in Broadhead. And you said it's not a secret. This has been a tough time for the dairy industry. What are you seeing firsthand?
Yeah, the market prices are just really tough. It's at a break even or even below. So a lot of small farms are going out. Those that are still trying to hang in. You question on, well, are they going to come to a show if they don't have the money to spend, you know, as far as new equipment that we've got around us. The big thing is they're looking at new technologies. They're looking at ways to be more efficient. And so they'll be here to be able to see the latest and greatest of anything in the dairy industry, whether it's electronics, whether it's equipment like what we have. They're coming to see a better way, not only that they can manage efficiently, but also safely as far as through farming practices for saving soils, for very healthy milks and milk products. So
yeah, you said using technology to better the situation, using it as a tool. And I know that we always kind of focus on the Wisconsin dairy industry, maybe even the North American dairy industry. You said things are doing better internationally. Some hope there?
Yeah, in several of the international areas, the dairy is really doing very good. So we see some different areas that'll be coming in. We've got customers this week coming in from Russia, from China, from Mexico, also from Europe. So it'll be exciting to see them come in, and there's more profitability in some of the other areas throughout the world. So.
Well, thank you so much for breaking that down for us. Doug Williams with Coon North America. And you can come here too. The Dairy Expo is going on from today through October 5th. Tickets are just $12. Josh and Leah.
Plenty of time to check it out. All right, Keely Arthur live for us at the Alliant Energy Center this morning. Keely, thank you.
So among the thousands of people at the World Dairy Expo today is President Trump's Agriculture Secretary, Sonny Perdue. He'll be holding a town hall at the event this morning before making stops in Verona, Fitchburg, and at UW-Madison. His visit comes as Wisconsin farmers are still facing tough times due to declining milk prices and the effects of the trade war. The state has lost more than 550 dairy farms so far this year after losing nearly 700 last year.
6:35 right now. Coming up in the morning sprint, we continue to monitor breaking news and have the latest updates on the ongoing protest in Hong Kong where a protester has been shot.
And cutting out red meat from your diet might not be helping your health at all. We're breaking down a new study that's making waves this morning. That's when News 3 Now this morning returns.
All right, we've been asking you to share your morning with us, and Chrissy has got a fantastic one. There's the Mount Hope tree. That is amazing.
You can hear the audible sighs in the newsroom looking at this picture, Chrissy. It is stunning, that sunrise.
It gives me goosebumps. Like, that is just a beautiful, just that whole thing. A glimmer of hope, right?
Indeed, the silhouette, absolutely beautiful. Thanks for sharing, Chrissy.
If you've got a photo you'd like to share, all you have to do is send it to us over on our Facebook page.
Okay, so it turns out Madison is one of the best cities for vegans and vegetarians.
Wallet Hub compared the 100 largest U.S. cities for vegan and vegetarian friendliness and ranked Madison at 14th. The survey looked at things like affordability, accessibility, quality, and vegetarian lifestyle. Madison comes in 5th when it comes to the highest percent of restaurants that serve vegan options. In the top 3, Portland, Oregon, Los Angeles, and Orlando. Milwaukee comes in just after Madison in 15th, and in last place, El Paso, Texas.
And for those of you who do eat meat, a new report by a group of international scientists says eating that broader steak might not be as bad for you as researchers once thought. New guidelines say most people do not have to lower their amount of red or processed meat, and that previous studies on the topic provided poor evidence against a meat-eating diet. A group of prominent U.S. scientists were quick to attack those conclusions, though, and tried to actually stop the publication of this report until their critiques were addressed.
Now, this has been a hot topic, for a lot of people, but even we have that discussion a lot because I have significantly cut back on my intake of red meat, and my body seems to like that a lot better. Though I'm not against the meat. I think that's been one thing that we've always talked about. It's not that I'm against it, but my body just handles it better.
See, and I work out a ton, so I love that protein. I am constantly eating meat. But I have to say, what's interesting about this particular study is that it flies in the face of what we were told just a couple of years ago. And so what's being pointed out here, I think, is exactly what you're saying. We have to listen to our own bodies and see how you feel. A bunch of scientists can't necessarily tell you what's best for your own body.
Do what works for you, and I always say everything in moderation. Like, that's not going to stop me from having that steak every once in a while, but I'm not going to have it for every meal like I used to.
An important conversation.
All right. Well, Hetty's tracking some heavy rain moving in today. Her alert day forecast is coming up as we look at the possibility of more flooding concerns across the area.
But first, it is Tuesday, October 1st, and we want to say happy birthday to Cooper, Owen, and all the kiddos turning 3 today. Thanks for celebrating with us here on News 3 Now this morning.
Just about 6:45 on your Tuesday morning. Pretty quiet out there right now. Looks like a little hint of some sky out there, Hattie, but that is not going to be the case later today as those skies really open up.
Yeah, no, not the rule. We're not going to see a lot of sunshine through the day today. There are alert days in the forecast today and tomorrow for the potential for some heavy rain coming, especially tonight into early Wednesday morning. So let's take a look at those weather graphics. We are looking at quite a bit of rain moving into southern Wisconsin. We have over several inches. We could see anywhere from 3 to 4 inches of rain possible across parts of southern Wisconsin, and that takes into consideration what's going to fall this morning through tonight into tomorrow. So this is by tomorrow at noon. You can see a band of pretty heavy rain setting up across southern and central Wisconsin. So if you live in a flood-prone area, you're definitely going to take the proper precautions today because a lot of rain is on the way. Now, here's a look at what's happening right now on the radar map. We have some showers north of Dane County, some isolated rumbles of thunder being reported within this rain. Generally quiet though from Madison and points to the south. Now this axis of moisture that we're seeing north of Madison is eventually going to sink southward through the day today, and we have plenty of moisture to work with. Take a look at the moisture lining up all the way back into New Mexico. This is part of the moisture from Tropical Storm Narda. So if it feels tropical outside, there is good reason. This is tropical moisture. Eventually, this system is going to sink southward, so we see that rain moving into all of southern Wisconsin by this afternoon. This is a very slow-moving system. Now, confidence in severe weather is relatively low, but there is a chance that slight risk area gets into far southwestern Wisconsin, that we may see some storms that contain large hail and strong wind gusts, but by far the main threat for all of the region is the threat for flooding. And you can see those flash flood watches in effect for all of southern Wisconsin. And again, following that line of moisture back into New Mexico. So we're not alone with this potential for some very heavy rain. This storm system is generating quite the contrast in temperatures. Take a look at some of these numbers. 74 in Chicago, 71 here in Madison. We're definitely on the warm side of things. 57 in Minneapolis. Rapid City this morning is at just 38 degrees. So quite a spread in temperatures over just a couple hundred miles. On the warm side of things today, dew points will stay high, so it's going to be just as humid as it was yesterday. Your future track forecast model, though, shows you that from Madison and points to the south, we may actually stay dry through the morning hours. The focus will be to the north, but eventually as we head towards the afternoon, those showers and thunderstorms begin to move into southern Wisconsin, and through the evening hours, rain becomes likely for all of southern Wisconsin. Overnight tonight, some heavy rain is possible. It'll last through Wednesday morning. Then a bit of a break through the midday, but we're not done with the rain just yet. Showers and even a few isolated thunderstorms are possible Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Here's a look at your extended forecast then. We have 2 alert days. The rain chances come to an end Thursday morning. We dry out for Friday, but definitely cool things down with highs only in the middle 50s. Ned and Cece in Madison, those two buddies. Definitely an inside day today. They'll be curled up, taking a long nap, I'm sure.
As I will be, too.
Looks like Ned's looking for a snack instead of a walk.
Maybe. The life of a house cat.
All right, thank you very much,
You're
Annie.
welcome.
All right, the morning sprint is up next, but first, here's Anthony Mason with the What's Ahead at 7 o'clock. Good morning, Anthony.
Good morning. Ahead on CBS this morning, new controversy about paying college athletes, how the NCAA is responding, and why some of the biggest names in sports say a law is needed. Plus, Lil Nas X reveals the kind of picture he wanted to paint with Old Town Road. The 20-year-old college dropout tells Gail why it was the least of his worries when he was told the song was not country enough. We'll see you at 7.
Hardy
6:51, time for the morning sprint as our team gives you more local news to start your day.
We begin with Keely Arthur live in Madison this morning as the World Dairy Expo kicks off. Hi, Keely.
Good morning. The 53rd annual World Dairy Expo begins today. Thousands of humans and cows will be coming over to the Alliant Energy Center. Now, this area is off of John Nolan Drive and Rimrock Road. So if you drive in this area for your morning commute, you could expect some delays. The event officially begins at 9 a.m. The U.S. Ag Secretary Sonny Perdue is here for an event at 8 a.m. and you can hear more from him on News 3 Now later in the day. Of course, the cattle is a big draw with a variety of showing competitions, but every facet of the industry is here. We are talking technology, farm equipment, even nutritionists for cows. You can join in on the fun. It is open to the public. It goes through October 5th, and be sure to be mindful of that when driving near the area through Saturday. Leah?
Thank you very much, Keely. Among the thousands of people at the World Dairy Expo this morning is President Trump's Agriculture Secretary, Sonny Perdue. He'll be holding a town hall at the event this morning before making stops in Verona, Fitchburg, and at UW-Madison. His visit comes as Wisconsin farmers are facing some tough times. The state has lost more than 550 dairy farms so far this year after losing nearly 700 last year.
And we have rain in the forecast today for Madison, the World Dairy Expo, and all of southern Wisconsin. Flash flood watches in effect this morning through Wednesday morning for the entire area. Doppler track showing you that this morning the rain focus has been mainly north of Madison. That'll be the case for the next couple of hours, but eventually this rain is going to sink southward today. Total precipitation by midday on Wednesday is expected to be rather high across parts of southern Wisconsin.
Patty, thank you. We are tracking breaking news right now. Police in Finland say one person is dead and 3 others are wounded after a stabbing attack at a shopping center. 9 additional people had minor wounds. Police said the attacker has been arrested. They haven't released a motive for that attack yet.
We are also following news about your holiday flight plans. They could be affected by the latest Boeing setback. Pilots at Southwest Airlines say they do not expect to fly the troubled Boeing 737 MAX jets until at least February, which is later than the company had projected. Union leaders say issues like pilot training requirements are among the factors keeping those planes grounded.
Breaking news in Hong Kong this morning as the situation there is continuing to escalate this morning after a pro-democracy protester was shot by a police officer. Police say the protester was shot in the chest. There's no word on the condition of that protester this morning.
Also national headlines this morning. North Korea says nuclear negotiations with the U.S. will start back up this coming Saturday. The two countries agreed to meet after a months-long stalemate over the withdrawal of sanctions in exchange for disarmament. There's no word yet on where that meeting will take place.
President Trump's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, says he'll give, quote, appropriate consideration to a subpoena from House Democrats who are demanding documents from his trip to Ukraine. CBS News has confirmed Secretary of State Mike Pompeo listened in on the president's call to Ukraine's leader, which is now at the center of the inquiry.
A verdict could come as soon as today in the murder trial for a former Dallas police officer. Amber Geiger is charged in the shooting death of her neighbor. Geiger claims she accidentally walked into his apartment and shot him, thinking it was her apartment. The man was unarmed and sitting on his couch when Geiger shot him. She faces anywhere between 20 years and life in prison if convicted.
We're learning more about why former Madison Police Chief Mike Koval decided to retire. Koval says despite his efforts, he hasn't been able to get the increase in staffing he says the department needs. He says he ran out of ways to convince the mayor and alders to pay attention to the needs of the department. Koval announced the decision to retire in his blog Sunday.
We will be hearing from Madison Mayor Satya Rhodes-Conway today as she announces her first operating budget for the city. She'll be holding a press conference at 1 this afternoon to go over her priorities for the next year. Last year, former Mayor Paul Soglin proposed a $332 million operating budget, which raised taxes for the average homeowner by about $72.
The Columbia County Sheriff says he hopes to have more answers today in the death of a man who was shot while checking his basement for a potential intruder. Sheriff Roger Brandner says there are no suspects in custody and doesn't know if there is any danger to the public right now. Wolf's family says that they believe he died protecting his loved ones.
Arrest warrants are out this morning for 2 men still at large connected to the shooting death of a 19-year-old on the north side. 33-year-olds Lee Arthur Taylor and 37-year-old Lawrence Thomas are facing first-degree intentional homicide charges in the death of Malik Moss. If you see Taylor or Thomas, police ask that you don't approach them and instead call 911 immediately.
6:57, Jason Stone has a final look at your First Alert traffic. Hi, Jason.
Hello. The westbound Beltline is slowing down at Stoughton Road to West Broadway. All other lanes are moving without delay. And it is mostly clear on John Nolan in both directions at this time. With your First Alert traffic, I'm Jason Stone.
All right, Jason, thank you. Look at your commute times this morning.
Yeah, and it is a cloudy commute early today, but not wet yet here in Madison. We do have some rain, though, on the way as we head towards the afternoon hours. Widespread showers north of Dane County at this hour. Look for all that rain to sink southward. High temperatures today will still be in the 70s.
All right, thank you very much, Hattie, and thanks for joining us today, folks. Stay dry. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning.